friends, welcome back to the channel, or welcome if you're new. I'm so happy you're here. As always, all of my links are down in the description, including my social media, my Patreon, as well as my Amazon storefront. So please go check those out. And without further ado, let's get into this week's video. Enjoy. One of the most common questions that I get is, how often should I work out? And this kind of tends to be a loaded question because the short answer is, it depends. But I'm gonna give you a couple of things to think about when it comes to how many times a week you should work out. So the general consensus is 4 to 5 times a week. Now, this is for people who are regularly active, they're working towards a specific goal, like they want to increase their mile time, decrease their mile time, or they want to put on muscle, or they're training for something, or whatever it is. That's typically what people will do. And even if they're just seasoned and they've been working out for a while and they just want to stay in shape, stay where they're at, 4 to 5 times a week is typically what they do. But for somebody who's first starting out or who hasn't been to the gym in years, that's a lot, right? And so we want to start smaller. So typically when I start working with somebody, we start with 2 to 3 days a week. The reason being, we just want to build the habit. So it's not that these workouts are difficult or overly challenging or anything like that. We just want to start building the habit and getting your body used to doing physical activity regularly. So I typically have people start with 2 to 3 days a week. Once that feels good, then we bump it up to 4. And then if they want to add a 5th day in there, then we bump it up to 5 from there. It also depends on how often, it also depends on how much time you have, right? If you are a mom who's working a 9 to 5 and also then has to make dinner or whatever else that you need to do, you don't have a ton of free time to work out. And so if you only have 3 days a week, great, that's fine. You can absolutely see results if you program your workouts correctly. And obviously when you work with me one-on-one, we do that. But it's also, time is also a factor, right? If the time is not there, you can't just all of a sudden start working out 4 to 5 times a week, right? So it's about being smart with the time that you do have. Now, typically I also tell people to include a weekend day in there, right? That usually makes it a little bit easier to get one of those extra days in there if that's necessary. But again, maybe your kids have soccer games or competitions or other things going on the weekends where that isn't always an option. So again, it's about finding what works for you and programming workouts into that time that are gonna get you the results. So to wrap this up, any number of workouts between 3 and 5 is a good place to be in, right? Because that is going to allow you to work all of the muscle groups that you need to, have your rest days, and get those results that you need. But again, you can't start there, right? You can't all of a sudden say, oh, I'm gonna work out 5 days a week. No. Let's start with 2, build that habit, and then build it up from there. Because you want to start slow so that you stick with it. If you try to change too much all at once, you're gonna fall off the wagon and you're gonna get frustrated. And we can avoid that by just starting slow and then building it up. So I hope that this was helpful. If you have any questions, please drop them in the comments and I will see you very soon for another video. Bye.